Hello, welcome to the first lesson I'm going to deliver on Maths Explained Simply. Um, Today, we're going to talk about numbers. We're going to build it up right from right from scratch. We're going to build it up right from what we learned when we were our primary schools, the very beginnings of primary school. So, if we can remember, we start learning how to count. That's one of the first things we learn how to do when we were studying mathematics as very, very young people in primary school and even in nursery school. Start counting, and you now start adding, subtracting numbers. So, today we're going to be talking about numbers in general, understanding numbers, understanding the digits in numbers, understanding what each digit represents. We're going to start right from what we did in our early years in primary school. So, basically, the title of today's lesson is the value and place value of the digits in a number. So let's just put the title up here. Value and place value. So another thing we're going to talk about today is how to write a number in words. So put a number on the board and then ask you to write or say that number in words. And also, you can do vice versa. You can write a number in words and then I say, can you write that number using digits? So these are the main things that we want to learn how to do today. So as I started off, um, in our primary school, we started learning how to count 1 to 10, and then we move on from 1 to 20. We start counting from 1 to 100. Obviously, no teacher would tell us to count from 1 to 1,000 because that's going to take ages and we get fed up before we even get up to halfway. But even though we can't count from we can count up to 1,000, but we don't want to do it. There's no point. It's just a waste of time. But even though we can't count up to 1,000, we should be able to recognize numbers between 1 and 1,000, for instance. Even if it's not practical for us to be able to count from 1 to 10,000, for example, we should be able to recognize a number that is between 1 and 10,000 if it's written on the board. Even though it's impractical to count up to from 1 to 100,000, we should still be able to write a number that is maybe between 50,000 and 100,000. We'll be able to write it in digits, and we should be able to say it in words. So in order to really appreciate how to say numbers and how to write numbers, we need to begin to talk about the place value and the value of the digits in a number. I want to stress right from the onset that the digits of the number, we don't really call it a number. Some people call them figures. Figures in a number, they're not actually the number itself. Digits in the number are not actually the number itself. So let's start off now. First of all, let's talk about place value and value. Now, the smallest place value, before we go into decimals, we're not going to talk about decimals today. Let's ignore decimals. So apart from decimals, the smallest place value is the units, or some people call it the ones. Units. Or the one. And then the next place value you have are the 10. And then you have the hundreds. And then you have the thousands. And then you have the 10,000s. I'm going to write it like this because I need space. So 10,000. I didn't write it on the same line because I don't have space. And then we have the hundreds of thousands, the 100,000s. I'm going to write it on the same line. I don't have space. 100,000. And then you have the millions. And then we can carry on. You have the tens of millions. You have the hundreds of millions. Now, we don't really say thousands of millions. We now move to billions. So basically, 1,000 millions becomes 1 billion. So when we get to the hundreds of millions, we get to the billions next. And then you get to the 10 billions, you get to the 100 billions. You can carry on and on. But we're going to stop on the we're going to stop at the million for now because most problems with solving in examinations, will not be so large. There will not be large numbers more than a million when you're doing a primary school examination or you're in early secondary school. The largeness of the number is kind of limited. Okay, so let's take a number, one digit number, like 5 or 6 or 7. Those are one digit numbers. We say the value of this digit, the value of this digit is 5 exactly. So this 5 is under the place value of units. These are called place values. These headings here are called the place values. Units are the ones, just to repeat, the tens, hundreds, the thousands, the tens of thousands, and the hundred thousands, and then the millions. Those are called the place values. So this digit of 5, or this figure of 5 is under the place value of units. Its value is 5. This digit of 6 under the place value of units or ones. Some call it ones, as I said before, some call it units. So this 6 is under the place value of units or ones. Its value is 6. 7 is under the place value of units or ones. Its exact value is 7. 7 apples, 8 apples, 9 apples, 6 apples, 5 cars, 6 cars, 7 cars. Yeah? So That's the easy part. If I have a number, let's rub this off first. If I have a number 35, for instance, 35. If I have 35 apples, 35 cars, 35 shirts, 35 whatever, this is how we write 35 on the place value diagram. The 5 goes under the units or ones. The 3 goes under the tens. Let me be more specific. The digit of 5 goes under the place value of units or ones. The digit of 3 goes under the place value of 10. This digit of 3 does not have a value of 3. This digit of 3 does not represent 3 cars, or 3 apples, or 3 shirts, or 3 eyeglasses. This digit of 3, or this figure of 3, represents 30. It represents 30 cars, 30 apples, 30 shirts. Because this digit of 3, this figure of 3 is under the tens place value. This digit of 3 represents 3 tens, 3 lots of tens, 3 times 10. We'll talk about times multiplication, which is the same as times, in future lessons, but nothing stops us from talking about it now. So this 3 here represents 3 tens, 3 lots of 10, 3 times 10, 30. So this digit of 3, this figure of 3 represents 30. This digit of 5 represents 5. It has a value of 5, as we said earlier on. So 35, this is how we write 35 on the place value diagram. If I want to write 935 on the place value diagram, I put a 9 over here, a digit of 9 over here, a figure of 9 over here. This 9 here does not represent 9 cars. It does not represent 9 shirts. It does not represent 9 eyeglasses. It does not represent 9 whatever. It represents 900. 9, it's under the place value of 100, so it represents 900. 900 cars, 900 bags, 900 whatever. And we can go on and on and on. If I put a 2 over here, this is 2,935. We'll talk about, either in this lesson or in a future lesson, we'll talk about how to say numbers in words. So this is 2,935. Future lessons, either this lesson or in future lesson, we explain how to say this in words. But I'm telling you now that this is 2,935. 2,935 cars, 2,935 pens, 2,935 whatever. The 2 over here, the figure of 2 here, the digit of 2 here does not represent 2 cars. It does not represent 2 eyeglasses. It represents 2,000 eyeglasses. The 9, as we said before, represents 900 whatever. The 3 represents 30 whatever. The 5 actually represents 5. So basically, when you add 2,000 plus 900 plus 30 plus 5, you will get 2,935. So if you add 2,000 cars to 900 cars to 30 cars plus 5 cars, you get 2,935 cars. We'll talk about addition in a future lesson, but nothing stops us from talking about it right now. Then you go to another place value. Let's put a 4 here. This number is 42,935. We'll talk about how we say this in words in future lessons. But for now, take this as 42,935. This 4 here represents 4 10,000s. Remember, it's under the place value of 10,000s. So this 4 here represents 4 10,000s, which gives you 40,000. Yeah, 10,000 in 4 places, 4 lots of 10,000. is 40,000. So that's what that 4 represents. Let's put a number here, or digits. Yeah, I made a mistake right there. I said let's put a number here. Technically, that's wrong. What I should say is let's put a digit here, or let's put a figure here, a figure of 8 right here. This figure of 8 here does not represent 8 cars, or 8 eyeglasses, or 8 pens. This 8 represents 800,000 whatever, 800,000 cars, 800,000 apples, because it's under the place value of hundreds of thousands. So this is 8 hundreds of thousands, 8 times 100,000, 100,000 in 8 places, 8 lots of 100,000. So this 8 here represents 800,000. Let's put a digit over here, a digit of 7, or a figure of 7. This is not 7 cars. This is not 7 eyeglasses. This is not 7 trees. 7 million trees. 7 million cars. 7 million whatever. That's what it is right there. That 7 is under the place value of millions. So that 7 represents 7 million. So I'm going to stop the video now, and we're going to carry on in another video clip. It's all on the same lesson. So I'll see you in the next video clip. Thank you.